Good afternoon. I'm Dennis Galucki, and welcome to the 505th, as well as our 127th YouTube Imagine Greater Buffalo program, hosted by our wonderful downtown cultural treasure, our Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Thank you for joining us today. This program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, or C-SAAHN, as I pronounce the acronym, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation. We are recording this program so you can watch it again later on the Downtown Central Library's Facebook page and their YouTube channels. Please share the link with others if you can. Now on to our featured speaker. Will Kawalec currently serves as the Cultural Program Educator for Explore More, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Children's Museum. He has been with Explore More since the museum opened at Canalside over 4 years ago. As an educator, Will works both with guests on the floor and behind the scenes, creating lessons and activities for visitors. He often leads outreach efforts, visiting schools, libraries, summer camps, and other community organizations to bring a multitude of lessons and activities to children and adults across Western New York. Will is a former teacher in the Buffalo Public Schools system and uses his educational background in history to emphasize both local and international cultures within his lessons to enlighten children and adults with the cultures and traditions of the world. So now let's hear from Will Kawalec. Will, take it away.
Yeah. There we go. We're back. Thank you for the super kind introduction. I will be talking, hopefully brief today, about our Erie Canalway initiative that we're sort of prototyping this summer, and hopefully can answer any questions anyone may have. Thanks to Dennis for that intro, and thanks to the Public Library for being awesome. I just have some slides. It'll be really brief. I will share my screen and then we'll kick things off. Okay. Here we go. So the premise of this discussion is talking about the 4th grade cultural initiative. And then this initiative has direct ties to the Erie Canal and eventually the upcoming bicentennial, which is in 2025. So those are some big dates just to keep in mind. But basically, we're just going to discuss what is it and why it's happening and why it's good for our community, and just some things that I've really been spearheading and Dennis has been helping out substantially, which has been great. So basically, what is it? It's a plan to give every graduating 3rd grader / current 4th grader, and this is the key part, their families' cultural-based learning experience. And that's where a lot of the funding is coming in, is including the children's families. We know that Buffalo has, not every graduating kid or 3rd grade graduating child has the means to access our space and museum. So including the families has been really beneficial into getting people into the museum. This sort of learning experience is, tying together us and that grade level in the community. And the focus will be on the Erie Canal, using the landmark of the canal as a catalyst to expand cultural education. You may be asking, like, why you guys, why this stuff? There isn't really a large historical space for this age group, and our largest exhibit is dedicated to the Erie Canal in that space. Just some more wordy educational sort of background. If you can read on the slide above, I'm just going to read the highlighted excerpt from the National Park Service, because they have a program that highlights this specific age group as well. The program focuses on children 10 years of age, the age most fourth graders, based on research that indicates that children ages 9 to 11 are at a unique developmental stage in their learning, where they begin to understand how the world around them works in more concrete ways, and they are more receptive of engaging with nature and the environment. So, you know, this is a National Parks initiative, and coupled with that, I pulled info from I used to be an elementary teacher in Buffalo Public Schools, pulling from that, a part of the curriculum, even when I was in school, and I'm sure it was there much far before that, was the focus on the Erie Canal in the fourth grade curriculum. It's been a tenet in education systems, and here's the actual wordy sort of background discussing that. So it's been, so, you know, both of these are sort of why we centered on this age group. And then why the canal? There's a multitude of answers, but I try to sum it up as succinctly as possible. Apart from, you know, the required social studies curriculum in New York State, understanding the history of the Erie Canal is key to understanding the history of our state in general. Especially here in Buffalo, it wouldn't be the city it is today without what the Erie Canal brought with changes to our area. And I think just from having my background in history, it's really informative having to understand one's past to really understand where they are today. You know, most of you know that it transported ideas and helped, you know, wasn't necessarily just a transportation highway, it was a highway for ideas. And knowing this is, especially for, you know, 9-10-year-olds, is really vital to help crafting them into more knowledgeable citizens, really. But yeah, basically understanding that link of the canal to our culture, our community, and our state in general. Yeah, and in simpler terms, probably should have just read this. Understanding the canal is understanding America. It is showing and understanding that without it, our world would look like a far different place, and that's important just for, you know, everyone to know. So here's getting into even sort of more narrowed, regionalized, detailed, is Buffalo, and I know this from working on a lot of grants with the National Park Service and the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor, that there is a effort, especially in the state and the nation, to involve urban areas into parks and, you know, green spaces or historical venues and stuff like that. And Buffalo is situated in obviously an urban area, and there's, you know, state and federal initiatives to really include these regions and the children that inhabit these regions inside that sphere. So that's the main reason why Buffalo, we're really, you know, there's been a push from people way higher than me to include the inner city into this style of education. And Buffalo is in the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor, which on this slide is the one highlighted or grade, I should say. And that includes a lot of other New York, urban municipalities such as Rochester and Syracuse and stuff like that. But basically, there's a push to include more urban areas in this style of education. Sort of just reinforcing why me and Explore More have been like sort of chosen and have campaigned to be involved with this, is that our biggest and I would say grandest exhibit is dedicated to the Erie Canal, its histories, and ultimately its impact on the community. If you don't know, everything in Explore More is dedicated to Buffalo in some way, and this space is one of the only spaces we're really able to dedicate to history in general, which makes me happy. But it really helps understanding, water science, history. There's role playing involved, just lots of early childhood development systems and stuff in place that honestly make it a really great space to sort of kick off events. Sort of, transitioning in the next slide is our location. Most of you, I'm assuming, are from Buffalo, so or are familiar with Canal Side. But the Canal Side region has artifacts and actual ruins from the original canal. We have the Maritime Center right across the street, and they'll be completing their model packet boat, I guess, floating museum relatively soon, and then also the Naval Park. So we have really great resources within walking distance around us, or biking or riding or however method you want to transport. And having us as like a hub or a Kickstarter for youth in that area to understanding the value of waterways and of the canal makes a lot of sense, is basically what we're getting at. And then just some updates on active plans. We have ongoing partnerships with organizations across the state. For instance, the Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor and the New York State Canal Corp. This is something we've done in the past. They're just waterway days, are just to sort of educate and inform guests, specifically children, on the canal, its benefits, its uses. We've partnered with organizations like Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper and TIFF Nature Preserve and organizations we've reached out with just to get a sort of more comprehensive grasp on why water in Western New York is important. I have been working with the National Heritage Corridor on a digital lesson format for teachers throughout the state. So we filmed, it should be about a half-hour video that will be live hopefully this August. It is not ready yet, so I sadly can't share it. But that is in the works, and this video project will be for classrooms to sort of use on, as part of the fourth grade curriculum already established in New York State. So that's really exciting. It'll be able, anyone will be able to access it as well. Looking to the future, we do, although we love the moving water exhibit, we do plan to update it. I wouldn't say renovate. Update is definitely the better word. We're going to add some things and make it more comprehensive. As many of you know, the Erie Canal Bicentennial is upcoming, and there's lots of excitement sort of buzzing around that, and the planning has already started. And we're just really excited to be where we are and sort of be this hub for Erie Canalway education in not only Western New York, but the state of New York itself. But those are my slides. If there's any questions, I can hopefully answer them. I'm not seeing a ton of questions, which means I did really good or really bad. So I appreciate you guys' time, and thanks for listening.
I'd say you did real well, Will. And
thanks, Dennis.
let's have a little discussion and invite people to join in with through chat and ask questions. Will, could you put back the slide that went and showed the rationale the National Park Service had
Yes.
for selecting fourth grade? I think that's central to this discussion.
1 second. All righty.
Why this age? This was what hit me last year at Buffalo Day at Chautauqua. It was around Olmsted. We were celebrating Olmsted's anniversary, 200th anniversary of his birth, actually. And the essence was, what would Olmsted do today in the 21st century? And we had the head of the Olmsted Conservancy speak, as well as the dean of the School of Architecture and Planning at UB. And the notion of imagining our, almost reimagining our cities. Bob Shibley summed it up, to see our parks not within a city, but the city within a park. And that notion I extend, and really I think the day will come when we'll look at Canal Side as a park, as an extension of the parks that are surrounding Buffalo by Olmsted's design. There used to be a lot of industry where you are, so you couldn't build a park there. Now that industry's gone, and we are making parks out of that area. So your theme of talking to fourth graders, because it's the right age, but I would add, and this is the important part of the National Park Service, it wasn't just fourth graders walking into a national park by themselves. They had to come in with their parents, guardians, adults in a car usually. But as you point out, more and more National Park System is thinking of urban areas and helping see them as storytelling devices. Something's happened in many cities, but I'd argue in Buffalo quite a bit has happened. And if you're going to have a cultural awareness, then the trick is getting fourth graders and their parents involved with the cultural organizations that exist, virtually all of them within the Olmsted Park System or adjacent to it. And you can imagine our newly named Buffalo AKG Art Museum, the Birchfield, the History Museum, the Darwin Martin Complex and House, the Science Museum, the Botanical Gardens. It really goes on that much of our culturals are in a park. So it's an extension to begin this program of saying, well, how could we get fourth graders free into our cultural organizations, and starting with Explore More, because from everything I can see, you are designed to go pre-K right up to really third grade. So the idea was, hey, you graduate from third grade this summer, you're now a fourth grader, and you are entitled to go to Canal Side with your parents. And that's the program. We call it the Imagine Greater Buffalo Fourth Grade Cultural Park Initiative. And you're the experimenter and Explore.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something that's important, and I'll stop sharing my screen right now, to remember, and I think something that's really valuable about this initiative, it's placing children in spaces they might not normally have access to. We really want to be inclusive to, obviously of any sort of income or financial situation. So allowing this free experience for this age group is, you know, we're hoping it can be something that a lot of people can take advantage of, and especially in our community, which has, you know, high levels of poverty. We're really excited about, you know, being able to fund this, you know, whole day trip, you know, people couldn't sort of make out of it. So yeah, and that's something that's really driving a lot of our interest in driving a lot of our the ideas behind, you know, pushing people towards coming to see our space and seeing and learning about the canal in general, is, you know, that factor of inclusivity.
Well, you hit on a key point, the idea of wanting to invite everybody. I really saw this, and sadly, we just remembered May 14th here in Buffalo. And we've always known the importance of zip codes. We know health issues exist more prevalent in certain zip codes. Longevity, life longevity, income factors, educational factors, many things point to variations in zip codes. And the May 14th was a reminder that somebody could become radicalized and feel the need to kill people in a zip code, 14208, and then in a Tops market because that's where they might be on a Saturday. How tragic. So you begin to say, well, how can you offset that? And I thought a program, this fourth grade initiative, using the logic of the National Park Service that invites, as Chautauqua is doing, inviting everybody from Buffalo zip codes 14201 to 14280, that includes 14208, and all of the zip codes in Greater Buffalo. They're free to Buffalo Day at Chautauqua. And this program is designed to make sure that, yeah, everybody, there's a lot of fourth graders in Western New York, but we want to emphasize those in the Greater Buffalo region. Zip codes 14201 to 14280. Others will be accepted as they show up, I'm sure, at Exploring More. And I do need to point out to the financial support given by the 716 Foundation, 716 Foundation, good people that are really the reason this can be done. That's creating the financial support for you folks at Explore More to make this happen. You just can't do free things without the support of somebody like the 716 Foundation.
Yeah, we're very grateful for their support in this initiative, and we're really excited to. I mean, it just, you know, sort of kicked off the past few weeks, and we're having people take advantage of that free programming. So it's been a good start. Absolutely.
And that's good to hear. The feedback I've been getting from the management team at Explore More is that it's that immediately, you know, was aware the libraries will be making people aware. So that will be developing here. So begin to check out libraries for information. The QR will be on a flyer so that you just take a picture of that and directs you right to Exploring More, and you can register easily with that. Maureen, do we have any questions in chat?
We do. We have two, actually.
Good.
The first one is there any chance the zip codes regarding Buffalo Day will be expanded to the outer suburbs?
Well, I can't answer for Chautauqua, but I can say you know, some outer suburbs are included in those zip codes. I think of certainly Williamsville 14221 is in that range. So double check, but believe me, this is a very generous offer by Chautauqua to encourage people from this area to check out Chautauqua. Maybe for some the first time, maybe for others, you know, an annual event for them to come down to Chautauqua. We'll have Michelle Urbanchik, the executive director, speaking at 3:30 in the Hall of Philosophy, along with Mark Wentzler, who was last week's Imagine speaker, and he's in charge of the strategic initiative for Chautauqua, dealing with both climate change and sustainability issues. I really believe Chautauqua and Buffalo can be leaders to the nation in discovering ways to really, one of our themes is to imagine Greater Buffalo, imagine a healthy, wealthy, and sustainable community. That's often our theme along, and I love what Will is talking about, using the Erie Canal as a basis for fourth graders, especially dealing with history, local history, state history, and national history. That is so imperative, and that's why to come at it from this direction is so logical for exploring more to do. We want to create cultural park explorers, and that's the name of the initiative. And where better to start than explore and more. What other questions?
Okay, this one is for Will. Wants to know when are the museums open during the summer so people can come visit? What are your hours?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be open every day besides Tuesday. So that is Monday and then Wednesday through Sunday, the same hours, 9:30 to 3:30. We will be hosting special events and stuff like that. So just check our website or check our Facebook. You can find us on every sort of social media. But yeah, that 9:30 to 3:30 every day but Tuesday. And then Tuesday is sort of our staff desk day. So, but yeah, so don't show up on that day. Other than that, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
Well, it's important to know too, you folks just were opening and COVID hit.
Yeah,
And-
it's been a journey.
And somehow you survived that. And obviously now we're getting back to full swing. And I bet a very, very large percentage of the folks in Western New York have not been in exploring more.
Yeah, we stay busy, but yeah, we're always looking to bring in guests.
Hopefully this fourth grade program will really create this sense and a buzz in the community that, hey, you're in fourth grade, you've got right now the summer, July and August. The trick will be to get this expanded. That's what I'm working on now.
Yeah.
To try to get it expanded in the fall so that other culturals participate along with yourself, and we'll see where we can go with that. But I just think it's going to be the right thing for our area. But frankly, I really believe it's going to have outreach. That's why we're speaking to a national audience about this program on Buffalo Day, August 8th, this summer.
I have one more question,
Go ahead.
Dennis. Are there any plans to offer transportation to Chautauqua for Buffalo Day, either this year or in future years? Many in the low income zip codes may not drive or may otherwise rely on public transit.
It's something we've tried and not succeeded with. A couple of years ago, because I tried to get the group that's speaking, the primary group, and I remember the TR site thought it was a good idea, got a bus, but didn't get enough interest to make it worthwhile to send a bus. You got to fill up a bus to make it worthwhile. So I hear the point. I can only encourage people that might know somebody that has a car to talk them into to go down there together. And if you can come up with some ways to solve this problem after 14 years, I'd love to hear about it. But our attempts have been futile so far. But I know the problem exists, and I wish we could solve it.
That's all I have.
Thank you, everyone.
Will, thank you very much, Maureen. Thank you for your first job of being at the controls panel. And folks, thank you very much. The last couple of sessions have really been about pointing to Buffalo Day, Tuesday, August 8th. Again, everybody living in, you have to show a proof of residence. So take your driver's license or something with you, which you naturally would have. But it's everybody living in 44 zip codes exists between 14201 and 14280. That's a pretty gigantic area. Chautauqua has no other city days at Chautauqua. Buffalo's led the way with this idea. I suspect it will grow, but for now it's the domain of Buffalo. So take advantage of it. If you check out the Chautauqua website, I encourage you to do so. I believe this week they'll have the link to Buffalo Day finalized, and you'll see what other people are paying to get into Chautauqua for the day, morning, afternoon, and evening entertainment. So take advantage of this, folks, and do so by telling your social networks. We're living in a wonderful time for communication. So friends, family, and beyond, get the word out. We should have a lot of people driving to Chautauqua and exploring Chautauqua itself and hearing about this program and being supportive of Buffalo. They always announce it at the beginning of the amphitheater event. 5,000 people all applaud Buffalo Day, many of them knowing people in Buffalo, if not being from Buffalo themselves. So be part of the fun. It's a great experience, and I encourage everybody to do so. This is the last Imagine program for the spring season. We will resume right after Labor Day, Tuesday after Labor Day, with great speakers, as we find so many good people in our community wanting to tell their story to you. So my thanks again to Will, but really, folks, my thanks also to you, the loyal audience that shows up week after week. Many people then watch it on the library's YouTube channel in an archived position. So check out if you're interested in these programs, the library's got many. Also on Internet Archives, I've been recording these going back to 2010. Programs here and at Chautauqua. Just go to Internet Archives and search for C-SAAHN, C-SAAHN, the C-SAAHN network, audio network, I call it. All right, folks, thank you. I'm Dennis Galucki. Be well and good day.